had a great week so far. The question this week was definitely difficult. I know I look at our founders who applied biblical principles in pursuit of God-given freedoms, and I know that it's absolutely necessary to bring morality into every aspect of our government operations. Additionally, Lowenthal recognizes that the nature of the intelligence community, secrecy, is not what generates the questions of morality and ethics. The issue is that the intelligence community operates under the cover of secrecy, and the situation may lower an intelligence officer's inhibitions to commit questionable actions. So the question, I think, is not should we be moral or should we behave ethically? Rather, the question is when in conflict, should the moral permissibility of an action give way to a security necessity? And I think it's an age-old question. Even Socrates explored it in Plato's Republic when he discusses what kind of person would make a best leader or a ruler for the city-state. He acknowledges that the soldier would create a conquering city, but notes that the city would never value the other important things in life. There would be no balance in the quest of victory, and consequently, there would be no justice in that city-state. So justice, I think, is kind of the more important issue at stake, and it's definitely a great word to use for this conversation. Morality is often defined in the context of justice, and I think morality can be defined as the measure of justice in our intentions, decisions, and actions. Collectively, at a government level, morality stems from setting just national security goals, our intentions, making decisions that achieve and maintain the integrity of those goals, and directing our intelligence officers to follow through with the necessary actions to fulfill the policy and goals that have been set. So, for example, in 2010, President Obama drew up the National Security Strategy and outlined the following 4 goals. He said, we must focus American engagement on strengthening international institutions and galvanizing the collective action that can serve common interests, such as, number 1, combating violent extremism. Number 2, stopping the spread of nuclear weapons and securing nuclear materials. Number 3, achieving balanced and sustainable economic growth. And number 4, forging cooperative solutions to the threat of climate change, armed conflict, and pandemic disease. So I think it's incumbent upon the decisions of policymakers and the supporting actions of the intelligence community to uphold the integrity of these goals. The goals that are set forth and the decisions and the actions should therefore support them. So for example, our goal is to combat violent extremism. That means our efforts in the intelligence community should make every attempt to not provide safety and security to those who are involved in those activities. Additionally, I think in a different level, deep cover operations should be assigned in such a way as to prevent our agents from having to engage or take part in the activities while still being able to obtain the necessary information. So you kind of draw the line between, is my actions going to contribute to continuing this violent extremism? And if so, it's the agent's responsibility to get out. Anyway, I digress. I think ultimately the moral permissibility of an action should completely control the security necessity. We are fortunate to live in a country that, at least on paper, will place justice first. Our country demands justice for citizens, justice in our diplomatic relationships, and justice in the actions we must take to defend our country. On the occasions when stuff kind of hits the proverbial fan, I think it's important that we not leave our integrity in the dust. I think it's really interesting that even in the Bible, every time someone gives up the tactical advantage, they still manage to achieve a strategic goal. David gave up the tactical advantage in killing King Saul when he had the chance, and instead just cuts off a piece of his robe. And he achieves the short-term goal of getting Saul to quit chastening, and the long-term strategic advantage of having the nation of Israel more ready to accept David as king. And the examples go on. There's Gideon, who gave up the tactical advantage of numbers and instead defeated the army of Ai with an illusion. But the rumors of the power of the army of Israel and the God behind them spread throughout the land and caused a lot of fear. So that was a strategic advantage that they gained by giving up a tactical advantage. So I think, of course, God was operating behind these decisions, but I think it's important, even for non Christian intelligence officers, that principles of integrity and justice guide the actions and decisions that are upholding the integrity of our goals. The actions of the intelligence community are intended to provide policymakers with approximate reality so they can make more informed decisions. And ultimately, those decisions go towards upholding our national security goals. So we can't contradict those. And, I guess those are kind of my thoughts for this week's question. I look forward to seeing yours. Thanks.